If you felt you want to talk about Baby Reindeer and you've already watched it, you're in the right place. Well, hey, my name is Anna and I'm also known as The Entertainment on this channel. And you're very welcome to watch this video, and please give me a like and leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. That would be really nice. Thank you very much for that. Baby Reindeer is one of Netflix's latest new hits, and there's good reason for it, and we're gonna go through that, why that is so, in this video. I want to give a spoiler warning because there's gonna be huge spoilers in this video. I'm gonna talk about everything that is in there, but if you felt you want to talk about Baby Reindeer and you've already watched it, you're in the right place. So obviously Baby Reindeer is a TV show about a man who is stalked by a female, and we follow his story throughout the TV show. The first reason I would like to mention why it's so good, in my opinion, is the way that it's told. Throughout the story we learn that Donnie, who's played by Richard Gadd, is a comedian, and as Richard Gadd plays himself, we know that he has been a comedian. So he knows how to tell a joke, he knows how to tell a funny story, and he knows how to tell a story because he's been a script writer as well. He's been on the theater, he's told his own story in a play. This TV show was a play before, and just like Fleabag, he played all of the characters himself, if I'm not mistaken with that. This has kind of grown very organically into a great TV show, as Netflix asked him if he wants to do this play as a TV show. This TV show obviously has very much comedy and very much tragedy in it. And there's all kinds of elements which you need for a great story, and we'll go more into that in a little bit. So as I just said, Richard Gadd plays himself as Donnie, and this story is not only based on a true story, which there have been many great stories, movies, TV shows told which have been based on a true story, recently especially, but this one takes it on a different level because the main character is a real person, and I don't know if I've ever seen that happening. Does anybody have any example where it has been like that? Because thinking about it, I don't really know anything comparable to this. So this is pretty unique and special, and almost like going through it with somebody you know, telling you their story as it happens. Not only is this based on a true story, it's including the person who's actually experienced this story, but also Richard Gadd with his story is very open, and I don't know if I've ever seen that. Rarely have you seen people be so open with their past and their story and their struggles and their traumas and everything, and I can only admire that, and it's wonderful. I hope nobody will use that kind of against him to give him trouble, but I think it's really wonderfully done on this show, and as I said, I can only admire this openness. Hats off to that. Another thing that's really good about this show is the cast. Obviously, as I just mentioned many times now, Richard Gadd plays himself, but also Neva Mao was really good, and obviously Jessica Gunning as Martha was absolutely so good. I don't even have words for it. Actually, the cast has kind of mentioned that they've kind of known each other before, or like looked at each other's careers before. I think that Richard Gadd mentioned that he had seen Jessica Gunning on many different TV shows and always thought that she was a great actress. And I heard her mention in an interview that he thinks she's the greatest actress of the country, which is UK in this case. And I also think, correct me if I'm wrong with that, but I think Jessica Gunning also said that she had seen Richard Gadd before in something, and that maybe she had seen some of his comedy gigs, and that she wanted to see his play Baby Reindeer, but it was always sold out. So I don't know if this is all true. They have been looking at each other's careers before. Maybe they've been admiring each other before. But correct me if I'm mistaken or if I'm wrong about anything. Also about Neva Mao, or Neva Mo, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this. Please let me know in the comments how to pronounce this. I'm very sorry if I mispronounce it. Neva Mo is a trans woman, and as much as I'm absolutely pro diversity, because we just need more diversity on our screens, in this story she appears because the main character fell in love with a trans woman and said that she was the woman of his dreams. And this is very stunning because it's so natural in the story, and I love it so much. I've rarely seen a relationship on screen, on TV, in a movie, where a cis man is with a trans woman is in a relationship with a trans woman. I think I've seen that maybe like once or twice before. So another example of that would be Jason Segel and Eve Lindley in the wonderful and highly recommended show Dispatches from Elsewhere, which again I highly recommend you watch. But besides that, I've rarely ever seen a cis man with a trans woman on screen, and I think we need more of that. Another thing, it's kind of a minor thing that I like. I would really love to mention that I liked the music on the show. From what's called like I Started a Joke by the Bee Gees, or whatever the name of that song is, to Happy Together by the Turtles, and one of my favorite singers, Harry Nilsson with One, and Angel of the Morning by Evie Sands. I think there are just so many great songs on this show. And Love Me, Please Love Me, another great song. Very good music supervising, very good music choices. One major thing that is very important to me, and that I've heard a lot of people mention when they talked about this show, is that this show is not black and white. As we've just realized, Donnie is quite troubled, and he has some issues going on. He, I guess, feels lonely and maybe not seen, or just is unhappy with how his life goes. He's not super successful. Maybe even if he wasn't super happy. He has a lot of different wants and needs, as does Martha. Many people feel lonely or not seen or unheard and kind of isolated with their problems and their issues. But it kind of feels good to watch a show like this where somebody is troubled like that, because you feel a little less lonely, and you see that you're not the only one. You do feel a little more seen and heard, and that's a very important thing. I think that maybe the most important thing about this show that draws you to it. Once again, it's very exciting and thrilling and very well written, and you want to see how the story goes on and everything, and how it ends and everything. But I think what resonates with me and a lot of people is you kind of feel his loneliness, and you kind of feel your own loneliness. You kind of feel the same thing going on with yourself, even though you may be in a very different situation, but it kind of resonates with you, what's going on, and we're all kind of sad sometimes. Not to say that life per se is sad or anything, or that Richard Gadd per se was sad or something, but I think at some point in your life you could probably agree that you felt lonely and felt isolated and unheard and unseen, and we're happy that something like a TV show kind of understood you and gave you that feeling of being seen and understood. Have I said feel seen and heard a lot in this? Have I? Another huge thing that I loved about this show is how Richard Gadd's character, Donnie on the show, he felt a lot of empathy, and he felt for Martha, even though obviously at first he didn't know who she was and what she did and how she behaved, and he showed her empathy in the beginning. But even when he was kind of in the middle of things, he showed her a lot of empathy as well. I feel like there are not a lot of things that are more important, more lovely, more sexy even, than empathy. To show somebody else some empathy is so important. This is shown and done throughout the whole show, and even in the very last scene, empathy plays such a big part for the story and characters and the show. And I think it is a huge deal to show empathy in this world, and it is a huge deal why this show is so great, and this is very important for the show in my opinion. Empathy is a huge theme on this show. It only works with that, and it's good that it is shown so much in the show. Another thing that I love and think is gigantically important about this show is its queerness. I really love that. I love that they have a trans woman in there kind of naturally, because it's his real life story. And Donnie is also not sure about his sexuality. Love the whole Donnie Terry story. Love everything about it. What else can I say? I just love the queerness in this, and I just love it. I just love it, and I think it's very, very important. So great. I recently read an article about why does this show even exist? Why is he almost kind of ridiculing the real life Martha? What does he think? Does she think in real life now? When she sees her film TV version of herself on big posters everywhere, the question was kind of, why does he make the show anyway? I don't think at all it was to ridicule Martha. I think, you know, we just talked about empathy, and I think the empathy was shown throughout the show, and it was a big theme because Richard Gadd wanted to make clear that empathy is such a huge thing in this world. Even though, you know, there are ups and downs, like when they're making fun of her, calling her a supermodel, which I can totally relate to as a big woman, having been called that ironically. Haha, it's so funny. At the end of the day, he has a lot of compassion and empathy for her, and that's the most important thing. Another thing I can only guess, but I would probably say why he did the show, is to tell his story, to get that thing not out of his system, but to kind of work with what's been happening. Also with the whole, I think Darren O'Connor was his name on the show, kind of situation, and that openness is absolutely rare. I also think he wanted to show, you know, kind of all the things I listed before I mentioned here, but he probably also wanted to show that things aren't always black and white, and they aren't always what they seem, but there are a lot of different perspectives. I also think he wanted to show the world how important it is to talk about mental health and mental health issues and mental illnesses. And I think that's a topic that's been kind of growing and coming up more in recent years, and this is absolutely important, and I think he's done a great job on talking about that. There are several different characters on the show who struggle with mental health. And that's okay. Many of us go through that. Let's talk about it. we can't make a taboo out of it. We have to talk about it, and we have to relate to it, and we have to have compassion for people who have it, so we can hopefully make life easier for a lot of people. One more thing that I believe he wanted to show and talk about is that sometimes authorities and institutions could do more, especially in the case of stalking. Sometimes laws are difficult and complicated. People sometimes need help. The stalker needs help, and the stalked person needs help. A lot of the time, actually probably every time. That's another thing that's really important to mention and to say and to talk about. And maybe to find a way to change things about that, because these people need to be heard. And it's very important to say that. So that's another reason why I believe Richard Gadd made this show. So yes, this was my little talk about Baby Reindeer. So what are your thoughts on this show? Would you like to add something why this show exists? Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel. And again, thank you so much for watching, and well, I guess I'll see you next time. This was The Entertainment, and see you. Please like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you another time. Bye! See you.